Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. Once again, we will be meeting. We're pretty excited about that. And for those of you that say, I should just be meeting, we should just be meeting in the meantime, it's like, I don't have the energy to fight the government, guys. It would break us financially. So, this is part two of covert narcissism. And really, this is more about the five personality traits, the big five, okay? And why we end up based on these traits of the Antichrist, of Satan, we end up looking like parasites in the Antichrist's eyes. So, as always, we go deep. This is called the philosophy of eschatology. So, if you want the fluff, there are other eschatologists out there. This is deeper stuff, like what do you need to know going forward? What's your reality going to be? Why are we born for such a time as this? That's what we do. So, Jordan Peterson, Dr. Jordan, he gave me an interesting idea, this parasite idea, because I've been viewed for many, many years as a host for parasites, whether through my marriage or through work situations. And so he got into stress level events, and we're going to be going into a stress level event. And we're in one right now, really, with COVID-19. Think about it. We are in quarantine. We are in a FEMA camp, but it happens to be our own home. And this is a stress level event. There are tons of murders going on right now that nobody's really talking about, where a husband is sick and tired of his wife and he just kills her, because he's living at home with her every day now. Or other things occur, or sexual abuse, or other abuse is occurring because we're at a stress level event. There's anxiety, fear, disgust. We're going to be covering disgust today. And we're going to be studying in terms of Hitler, believe it or not, because Hitler had this high disgust level. He had high orderliness, which is interesting. He had probably low conscientiousness, but he had this high openness. He had high disgust sensitivity. He was obsessed with moral purity. Now, we're going to discuss that not in terms of liberal, conservative, which is where the psychologists go or psychiatrists go. We're going to discuss that in terms of your moral construct and how pure it is in your mind's eye. And we're going to see a chart on that. And so Hitler believed the Aryan race was a pure race, a pure body, pure blood, and they were under attack by gypsies and Jews and non-Aryans. Now, also, I want you to be aware of this. And by the way, if you want to see this video, this is, and I could put the link in, I guess, Jordan Peterson. What happens when you don't know what to do? And that is where we're coming into now, guys. Keep in mind, I'm an eschatologist. I study in the Greek and the Hebrew, and there are moments where they go, oh God, I never saw that one coming. And so the faith part. So the one thing that they can't quantify in their tests, and IQ they can quantify and figure out you've got a higher IQ, you're going to do better in college and certain types of managerial jobs. But industriousness, they can't figure that one out. I would compare that to, say, Michael Jordan in basketball. Why was he better? Why was he the GOAT overall of the basketball players? Because he had more industriousness. Okay. He had a bigger heart and a bigger work ethic than anybody else. He also had more talent, but he worked at it harder than anybody else. And he was a jerk on the court, a jerk off the court, but he got the most out of his people. He was a better coach on the court than anybody else. So that happens with our faith. We can chide others to come along in faith and stick to your faith because that's all you're going to have at the end, people. Okay? That's it. That's all you're going to have. And so faith can't be quantified other than by God. He can quantify it. So let's move forward. This is going to be an interesting table that I just want you to be aware of. So I'm not going by their typical identification. They're going to go very liberal, very conservative. So very conservative is bad and very liberal is good. And they have a lower disgust sensitivity. No, 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 no. We're going to go with either you are set apart to whatever system it happens to be, which is godly or ungodly, and so you are moral to that particular system, or you are not set apart and you are immoral to whatever system you happen to exist in. Okay? That's a better definition of this in terms of where you're moving along in this chart. Okay? And you're going up towards disgust. Okay? So, what is your moral construct? Obviously, we're doing the philosophy of eschatology. So, if your moral construct is the beast morality, the beast system, the New World Order, blah, 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 then you're going to have higher disgust for people that don't get in line with your moral construct. Okay? If you're eco moral, which means that I want to save a tree, which means you can't have a baby, which means you can't take that vacation to Mexico, which means you can't do anything at all. Okay? Because of my eco morality. And I'm starting to see that more and more and more as we move forward. That is their huge moral construct, and that sets their disgust level. They're disgusted with people that don't get in line with, don't have any babies, kill, if you happen to get pregnant, kill that baby. It's all about killing. It really is. But that's eco morality because the ecology, Mother Earth, is their moral construct. So in our case, deeply faithful people are highly moral and highly disgusted by what's going on in the world today. We're not going to cover the stuff on the right hand side because we'll cover that later on. So interesting. It's the smell of us, okay? So I'm telling you that Hitler was disgusted by us. The Antichrist is disgusted. They're disgusted with our parasitic nature. We are blocking their purity. We are hurting their chance to be pure. Okay? And the angels, this is rabbinic. Just deal with it. The angels, according to the rabbis, didn't really want God to make humans because they saw the disgust of how angels are closer to God, like Satan was the covering cherub in the face of God. So how disgusted he would be with a bunch of humans that really don't have a clear picture of what God is and how to relate to God and what morality even is, okay? So just deal with this. This is the Matrix, of course, but it's interesting. The red pill, the blue pill, there's a morality story going on here, obviously. And so what I want you to see is that as these machines are disgusted by humanity and our smell and our sweat and our going to the bathroom, things like that, so is Hitler, the Antichrist, Satan, fallen angels. They're disgusted with us as if we're parasitic. So, as always, I try not to twist the Bible, try to give you real prophecy. I try to give you the news in the most palatable way that seems to be truthful, but even I get I get confused by the news sources. I mean, they're all over the place. So this is the philosophy of the end of days of eschatology. So we're going to deal with the big five, okay? And Jordan Peterson brought it up and got me thinking about it. So the big five is neuroticism, openness to experience, conscientiousness, okay, which could be like faith, guys, okay? And that's the one thing that we can't really track other than God can track it in us, okay? Extroversion or introversion, agreeableness, which is like empathy, so keep that in mind, okay? And I'm going with neuroticism is really, okay, so I'm going to be proving these things out. I'm going to try to prove to you that the psychopaths are incredibly neurotic, and that's going to be Satan, and especially when he gets cast out, and especially as the Antichrist pops out and he's exposed for being the Antichrist. There's going to be some psychopathy going on there, okay? Conscientiousness, that's us. I mean, I think you're going to find that Satan, Hitler, the Antichrist are low in conscientiousness, okay? They're really just kind of going through the motions here because they're going to lose. They know that, but they're going to play it through, okay? And they're open. That's the weird thing about this, okay? They're very open to World War III, say, or to horrific things. They're very, very open to it, okay? Are they extroverts or introverts? They're introverts at first. They're going to be extroverts because you're not seeing, Satan's not walking up to you each day like he did to tempt Jesus, okay? It's not happening, but it will when he's cast out. He's going to be angry, he's going to be on the earth, and it's going to be vicious, okay? Same thing with the Antichrist. As he's exposed and as things change, he'll be more of an extrovert. So there will be a change out there. And agreeableness, they have no empathy for us, none whatsoever. They're disgusted. We're parasites. We're disgusting. We stink to them. Okay, so these are the big five personality traits, and you can see how it goes back and forth between openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, introversion, agreeableness, or being disagreeable, and neuroticism. Okay, so now let's have some fun with Job. Let's go back to one of those first time frames and say, okay, I believe that Hasatan is a narcissist based on this. He has very low. I mean, you can see the chart up above. Am I saying high or low? Well, it's low. You'll be able to see for empathy, and then disgust. Hi, he's incredibly disgusted by this Job critter. Okay, so the adversary answered Adonai, is it for nothing that Job fears God? You've put a protective hedge around him, his house and everything he has. You've prospered his work, and his livestock are spread out all over the land. But if you reach out your hand and touch whatever he has, without a doubt, he'll curse you to your face. So how's he doing on empathy? None whatsoever. Disgust? Oh, he's disgusted by this Job because God put the protective hedge around him, and so he's completely disgusted, just like Hitler would be, just like the Antichrist will be. Then come back in chapter 2 of Job. The adversary answered Adonai, skin for skin. I don't know what that means. I've asked the rabbis. They don't even know. A person will give up everything he has to save his life. But if you reach out your hand and touch his flesh and bone, without a doubt, he'll curse you to your face. Adonai said to the adversary, here, he is in your hands, except that you are to spare his life. Okay, how's he doing again on empathy? None whatsoever. How's he doing to disgust? He's way up there. He really loathes this Job guy. So that's the Job picture there where Satan's allowed to hurt him. Okay? And then here's the picture, the next one that we're moving to, which is Yeshua being tempted by Satan. And it's interesting that I can't remember who drew this picture. I think it's Michelangelo. Anyway, he does him as a goat man, Satan goat-like. Very interesting. I love that type of art because it does picture him in a beautiful sense, but like a goat. Okay, like of all people, Esau, the brother of Jacob. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so narcissism, empathy, disgust. This is where we're going and where we're going to go to next. Okay, so this is from Matthew 4, and the tempter, Satan, came to him and said, if you are the Son of God, order these stones to become bread. But he answered, the Tanakh, that's the Torah, Navaim and the Ketuvim, so that's the whole Old Testament, says man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of Adonai. He's quoting Deuteronomy, Moses. Then the adversary took him to the holy city and set him up on the highest point of the temple. If you are the Son of God, jump! For the Tanakh says he will order his angels to be responsible to you, for you. They will support you with their hands so that no one will hurt your feet on the stones. That's Psalm 91. Yeshua replied to him, but it also says, do not put Adonai, your God, to the test. He quoted Deuteronomy again. Once more, the adversary took him to the summit of the very high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms and all their glory, and said to him, all this I will give you if you will bow down and worship me. Okay, so you know that Yeshua passed on all of these. How are we doing? Is he a narcissist? Yeah. Covert narcissist. In this case, overt narcissist, but in most cases, covert. Empathy. He has no empathy for Yeshua. Yeshua's been fasting, starving for 40 days, and so he has no empathy for him whatsoever. This is the time to catch him at his weakest point. Disgust. Huge disgust. If you're the Son of God, he's disgusted by the fact that the Son of God would take a human form. Very disgusted. Okay, so now let's move on. This is from Isaiah 14. We've got a few sections through Isaiah 14 and through Ezekiel 28 where we really can kind of get a better picture of Hasatan and then eventually the Antichrist. So how did you come to fall from heavens? Morning star, Lucifer, okay, in the Latin, but it's Hillel in the Hebrew, son of the dawn. So he's a light bringer. He's very okay. He's been in the face of God. He's going to be bright, guys. Okay. How did you come to be cut to the ground, conqueror of nations? You thought to yourself, I will scale the heavens. I will raise my throne above God's stars. I will sit on the mount of the assembly as far away to the north. That's how he attacked God, from the north, the dark part. I will rise past the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Instead, you are brought down to Sheol, to the uttermost depths of the pit. Those who see you will stare at you, reflecting on what has become of you. Is this the man who shook the earth, who made kingdoms tremble, who made the world a desert, who destroyed its cities, who would not set his prisoners free? Here's the problem with this. This is supposed to be about the king of Tyre. It's about Satan. You can tell, okay? Who else would be able to say those types of things, okay? And then we move on to Ezekiel 28. Satan, you were in Eden, the garden of God, covered with all sorts of precious stones. Now count them, 9, not 12 like the high priest, only 9. And we don't exactly know which these stones are, but we know that he's missing 3 traits of being close to God. He only has 9 traits. Your pendants and your jewels were made of gold, prepared the day you were created, just like us. But he was created as a perfect being, a cherub in the face of God. You were a cherub, one of the top angels, probably as top as you can get, protecting a large region. I placed you on God's holy mountain. You walked back and forth among the stones of fire, seraphim. Seraph is burning. Okay, so these burning stones. You were perfect. The word is tamim. He was perfect in all your ways from the day you were created until unrighteousness, that's avon, that's willful sin, was found in you. When your commerce grew, you became filled with violence. In this way, you sinned. How's he doing for narcissism? How's he doing for empathy? Not so good. How's he going for disgust? He is going to be disgusted with humanity. Therefore, I have thrown you out, defiled from the mountain of God. I have destroyed you, protecting care of, among the stones of fire. Your heart grew proud because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. But I have thrown you to the ground. Before kings, I have made you a spectacle. Okay? Now, if you do that, if you throw him out and make him a spectacle, based on narcissist personality disorder, especially the covert side, they get the rage going, okay? Because they don't want to be outed. They don't want their secret to be exposed. This is horrific for Satan and will make him as violently angry as you've ever seen a critter. Okay? By your many crimes and dishonest trading, you have profaned your sanctuaries. Therefore, I brought forth fire from within you, and it has devoured you. I reduced you into ashes on the ground in the sight of all who can see you. All who know you among the peoples will be aghast at you. You are an object of terror, and you will cease to exist. So that's Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28, and it really lists out these traits of Satan. Now let's continue on to Satan when he's cast out. And you see the New Testament version of what we just read. So we're in Revelation 12. Therefore rejoice, heaven, and you who live there, but woe to you and the land and the sea, for the adversary, Satan, has come down to you. He is very angry because he's been exposed, and his secrets are out now, and his time is short because he knows his time is short. When the dragon saw that he had been hurled down, and he made him a spectacle to the earth, he went in pursuit of the woman who had given birth to the male child. But the woman was given two wings of a great eagle. That is second Exodus talk, people. So whatever you saw with Moses and the Israelites going out into the wilderness, second Exodus. That's one more time. And it's everywhere throughout the Bible, Isaiah, other places. So that she could fly to her place in the desert. There you go, second Exodus, where she is taken care of for a season and 2 seasons and a half season, 3.5 years. Okay, away from the serpent's presence, probably the last half of the 7 years. The serpent spewed water like a river out of its mouth after the woman in order to sweep her away in the flood. But the land came to her rescue. It opened its mouth and swallowed up the river, and the dragon spewed out its mouth. The dragon was infuriated, raged over the woman, and this is narcissistic rage, and went off to fight the rest of her children. That's us, the believers. These are the ones like us that obey God's commands and bear witness to Yeshua. How's he doing for narcissist? This is how a narcissist rages. Okay, empathy, none whatsoever. none. He's disgusted by us. And so that's what happens. No empathy, lots of disgust. And you'll see once again here this covert to overt transition to as he's made the spectacle, as he's cast out. Okay, so now there are others that are disgusted by us. Hasatan, obviously the Antichrist, but also these leaders of the world. So this is from Isaiah 21, verse 21, and this is in the Hebrew. So Bayom Hahu is a circumlocution for the end of days, and it starts out, and it shall come to pass, Bayom Hahu, in the end of days, that I will punish. And it's a he will account, okay, but there's a punish in there too. He will account, punish for, God will, on the host, the Zava, okay? The Zava are the powerful ones of the exalted one. Ha Marom, okay, Ba Marom. So these Marom critters, okay, these are the fallen angels in the Ba Marom, in this area between earth and heaven, okay, between where we are down below and where God is up above, in between, that's where they are, okay, they're the exalted one, there's the Zava there, and the Meleki, the kings of the earth, Ha-Adama, all Ha-Adama. So these are the kings of the earth on the earth, okay? And so he's going to punish both of them, and they'll be gathered together, and they'll be gathered as prisoners into the pit. So it's a picture of what he's going to do with not only the fallen angels and Satan and others, because he's going to imprison and chain Satan, but also he's going to work on burning the Antichrist and the false prophet. And so, but also the kings of the earth. So these Illuminati. So how do these people feel about us right now? These kings of the earth. Empathy? No empathy. None whatsoever. They're thrilled that COVID-19 came through because they get to enforce draconian policies. Okay? Disgust. They're disgusted with us. We keep on breeding and we keep on working with our small ideas like God and life and family, and they just hate that. They're disgusted by us because of their immorality, their construct. Okay? So the kings of the earth are working in cahoots with the Satan and the Antichrist. That's how it's always been. You know, it doesn't matter which generation that happens to be. So what I'm saying is that COVID-19 is readying us for COVID-20 or COVID-21 or whatever it happens to be down the road. So the concentration camps of right now are our homes. And we'll hit another concentration camp at some point in time. And you're saying, prove that to me, Joel. Well, we discussed Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and these other guys that are super billionaires, the people that have the rock homes in caves, okay? We discussed them because we have small ideas and we keep on proliferating our genetic material like fish, and that disgusts them. It's like we don't need this many people on the planet according to these horrible people. And God wants us to proliferate. He wants us to make babies and take good care of those babies, okay, in a nice family arrangement. And they'll say, well, it takes a government to raise a family or kids, and all that junk. So they want you to obey, to vaccinate, to take a mark, whatever the mark happens to be. I don't know when the mark will be, but it will take a mark in the meantime, and comply. And then here's the phrase: if anyone is meant for captivity, into captivity he goes. Okay, so I'll give it to you from Revelation 13. This is 7, well, it's 5 through 10, but 7 through 10 is really the most important part. So it was given a mouth speaking arrogant blasphemies, and it was given authority to act for 42 months. It opened its mouth in blasphemies against God to insult his name and his Shekinah. And so that is feminine, that's his glory, and those living in heaven. And it was allowed to make war on God's holy people. That's the Kedoshim, the Hagios, and to defeat them. And it was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. Everyone living on the earth will worship it, except those whose names are written in the book of life, belonging to the Lamb slaughtered before the world was founded. Those who have ears, let them hear. If anyone is meant for captivity, FEMA, or your home, into captivity, FEMA, home, he goes. If anyone is to be killed with the sword he will be killed. This is when God's holy people, the Hagios, Kedoshim in the Hebrew, must persevere and trust. Okay, so once again, you see this covert to overt transition with the Antichrist. And the people of the world, they're going from covertly doing things to you, and they start bringing you into a FEMA camp and offing your head and captivating you with captivity. That's more overt. Okay, so they're disgusted by us. Now keep in mind, God is disgusted by sin and impurity. And he has to be. I mean, he's pure. He's perfect. He's pure. Satan was created perfect and pure, but then he fell. And now he's disgusted by us because there's something pathetic about human beings to him, that we stink and smell and make babies and love. And the most disgusting thing for him is that God loves us. He really, really loves us. So that's disgusting. And so the Antichrist and Satan have this high level of disgust, low empathy, high disgust for us. So what disgusts us? I mean, where are you at right now? What's your philosophy on disgust? And what if we lose our ability to be disgusted? So keep in mind, we discuss the fallen angels and the Illuminati. And here's a picture of what people look like when they're disgusted. And they can tell that we can tell when they're disgusted with us. And in many ways, we should be disgusted with what they plan on doing. Okay, so this is the Jordan Peterson thing that he was talking about Hitler, that really got this whole thing started. Orderliness is associated with sensitivity to disgust. And that's a big thing, a huge thing. We thought the negative emotions, pain, anger, shame, guilty, anxiety, fear, all of these things, they would all clump together, but they found, no, not really, that disgust sensitivity loads on orderliness. It's a major finding for Jordan Peterson that disgust sensitive were very obsessed with moral impurity. So Hitler, he had very high openness. So for him to start World War II, he was open to it. Not a problem. Hey, let's go do this. And normally you wouldn't think that's the case, but according to his notes that Jordan Peterson went through, he was very open to those types of things. Very creative, very open, very, very open. But very high orderliness. Okay, so he was a peculiar guy because he had both of those things working. Normally, you would be very closed on openness if you're orderly because you're OCD. Okay, people, you're not going to be open to risks and all sorts of weird things like World War III, if you're OCD. So Hitler was driven by wanting a pure body, pure blood, and was under assault from the impure parasites. Not fear, as Jordan assumed would be the case. Hitler was driven by disgust. Okay, so my disgust, I get personal a little bit every now and then. When my wife had the second or the third or the fifth or whatever affair, I don't know, it caused trauma of lies and impurity. Well, I didn't know. I mean, she was sleeping with a horrible guy that was just sleeping around all over the place. He was a gutter snake. And so what about possible STDs? And I didn't know that she was sleeping. I kind of knew. I mean, I had a demon come into my room. That's kind of a sign, and do weird things to me. And here I am. I'm a theologian and I know the Bible inside and out, and I didn't know how to stop the sleep paralysis. That was embarrassing for me. Okay, that's disgusting. And so empathy. You'll find that these covert narcissists have low empathy and so here's my empathy chart down below. So people with Asperger's and autism have zero positive empathy, zero negative. Would be borderline personality, psychopaths, narcissists, Schadenfreude. Okay, which would be they really get a buzz out of hurting you. Okay, and so it's just too bad. I mean, some people are. I work with people with Asperger's in programming and with OCD and autism, and they're mildly autistic, and they're very talented at programming. They really, really are. So we're going to go through some of the personality traits here. So first of all, Hitler and the Antichrist matches up with this, and so does Satan. So openness to simply enjoy openness. It's a basic personality trait denoting receptivity to new ideas and new experiences. It is one of the 5 core personality dimensions that drive behavior, known as the Big Five. Okay, and people with high levels of openness are more likely to seek out a variety of experiences, to be comfortable with the unfamiliar, pay attention to their inner feelings more, and those who are less open to novelty tend to exhibit high levels of curiosity. These people do, and enjoy being surprised. People with low levels of openness prefer familiar routines, people, and ideas. They're closed-minded in some cases. Well, here's the problem. Hitler was open. Not a problem. And the Antichrist is going to be totally open to World War III, just as Hitler was to World War II. So people high in orderliness prefer tidiness and routine and tend to be perfectionistic. Like politeness, orderliness was not correlated with any of our measures of well-being. Well, except for one variable. Orderliness predicted lower levels of personal growth. They don't work as hard. They'd rather clean their desk than get their work done, okay? So being super obsessed with orderliness in your life really isn't doing you any favors when it comes to well-being. That's from the Scientific American. The other one was from Psychology Today. So OCD people tend to be the orderly type people, and so they have anxiety, depression, unwanted thoughts, repeat rituals. They obsess over germs. Hitler obsessed over germs. The check, recheck, they have obsessive personalities. And so normally these two don't match up. But Hitler had both. I'm arguing that the Antichrist will have both. I'm arguing that Satan has both. Okay? And so Hitler seemed obsessed with the idea of infection, that he was a germaphobe, and that the Jews were going to cause germs to come into their country, or the gypsies too. He was repelled by sex, horrified by venereal disease. He had syphilis, and he blamed it on a Jewish prostitute. But he was disgusted by that. Okay, very open, very disgusted. Germany was the body, the Jews were the parasites. Um, he was afraid of disease. He viewed the Jews as an international pestilence, parasite of the body in other nations, sucked dry by these parasites. Germany would decay and become a rotting corpse if they allowed these people in. So he had to get rid of the people that were not physically capable, Jews, gypsies, other people that he viewed as unnecessary. It was the revulsion. It was disgust over these people that caused him to behave that way. So now we're back to the chart. And I want to state one more time that it's not your political identification. So Republicans are not more disgusted than liberal Democrats. Okay, that isn't really how it works, and that would be a negative way to view this. I think it's if you're set apart to a system like ecology or the beast system, you will be more disgusted by people that don't view your particular parameters. Okay, and so in this case, okay, so it always works out that people that sleep around are immoral and they have low disgust levels. Okay, I mean it is disgusting to sleep around. I mean, whose spit are you kissing that night, and swapping whatever else, and so it is disgusting, going to prostitutes, other things like that. But really, what I'm arguing as we get into the end times is that there will be specific sets of morality that have really been an undercurrent years ago, and now they're going to come out. And so, just as they would view the Jew as the world parasite, that's going to come back again. The beast system is going to view it the same way and dehumanize these people that don't agree with their eco morality or their whatever morality, whatever they're set apart to. Okay, the final solution will pop back up again. Okay, so personal moral disgust drives genocides or by sociopaths and psychopaths. Okay, so Hitler, Antichrist, and Satan have an allegiance to their own ideological moralities, which cause them higher levels of disgust toward humankind. Hitler by germ revulsions, and the other two, the Antichrist and the Satan, by how pitiful we are and how much God loves us. They're set apart against God. Makes sense? Right. Okay. So don't look at it as liberal, conservative, and disgusting and things like that, because both sides are disgusted for not being a part of your system. It's how much do you believe in your particular system will disgust you when people don't believe in what you believe in. Okay? And morality is evolving, people, because we've never seen eco morality before. We've never seen a beast system, the Illuminati morality. Well, it's been there, but we've never seen it more open like that. And then we get back to me a little bit. When in 2006, when my former wife started her affair, about the same time she started her affair, I had this demon laying on top of me. He looked like Brack from Space Ghost, kind of having sex with me. And so I didn't know it, but my son was having demons attack him upstairs. So my wife opened it up. So you're saying, well, Joel, you caused this. Well, I caused it by marrying her. And so I guess I shouldn't have married her, but I'm glad that I have the two kids from the relationship. The main thing is that I was disgusted by it. And I was disgusted by the affair when I figured it out 6 months later, and disgusted by the demons attacking me and violating me. And I was disgusted by the whole thing. And so the main point is you can't keep dancing with the devil and wondering why you're still in hell. Okay? And so and the demons have low empathy for you. They're disgusted by us. We're disgusted by what happens in the world. And then just this is interesting. So you're going to find she was a high covert narcissist. She had low empathy, high disgust at me because I wasn't married to money, so to speak. Okay, and I will say this too. It's interesting. I should have married my wife. Obviously, her best friend murdered her husband twice and got away with it. The first time she had her stepfather, who abused her, beat the blazes out of him with a lead pipe. Then and he didn't die, which is he was a nice guy. I liked him. Joe was a nice guy. And then the second time, this best friend of my former wife said we need to have a pool party, and within a short period of time, he was recuperating and he had a pool accident and he died. And the funeral was a happy time. Very interesting. So once again, we're going to cover the 5 personality traits in terms of the Antichrist, and I'm going to say that the Antichrist, Hasatan, and Gog, and others will have high covert narcissism until it's forced out into overt narcissism, low empathy, high openness for World War III and other horrible things, high orderliness. They're going to have a process that they go through, and they're going to stick to it. And then they'll have high moral disgust, but it'll be their morals against us. They'll have they will be like covert narcissists at first, okay? That's the upper left there. Then they will have these traits over on this side, which is, let's see, what was I getting at? Was that orderliness? Doesn't matter. Lack of empathy is number 2. There it is. Okay. So then orderliness was, there it is. So you can see it on the chart. And I'm sorry, I should have marked it a little bit more in terms of what they mean, but they will have, they will be, let's just go on to the last one. So there's orderliness down below. That's where I marked it. Okay, so they're going to be orderly in the New World Order. And they'll be open to World War III, as I mentioned before. So they're going to have these types of personality traits. Then, so these are the big five again, as you can see them in the mixture back and forth. So they're going to have these traits, and you're going to be able to see it. You're going to see that they're psychopaths. Okay, you're going to see that they're open to World War III. They're going to be conscientious, not so much. Only to their, they're not going to work at it as hard as they should because they're going to lose. They will be extroverts and introverts. You'll see them switch halfway through. They will not be agreeable. They will not have empathy. They will not go along. And so, once again, I just wanted to show you that it's not that just because you believe in God that you're dogmatic and that you are less open. It depends. It really does. And it was interesting to see that with Hitler because we are not open as conservatives to World War III. Okay? So the philosophy of eschatology. Why? What? Well, why were you born right now? Okay, so this is the syllogism on the Antichrist and the false prophet and Satan to kill all the sons of Abraham, to nullify God's promises. It's not possible, but they're going to try. Because if they kill all the sons of Abraham, that would nullify God's promises. And then God would become a liar. I know you're going to say that's not possible, but you know what? They're going to try really, really hard to do it. Okay, us, what do? We're prayer warriors. We're witnesses of the miracles. So we're the adut. That's the witnesses. Revelation 1, 2, 1, 9, 6, 9, 11, 7, 12, 17, 19, 10, 24. Shut off the, go ahead and pause this if you want to read those verses. We're the adut. We are the witnesses. We are competent witnesses of the end times. The hook. Those are the things that we don't understand, but those are our righteous garments from Revelation 15:4 and 19:8. Okay, so those are important. And then the mishpatim, we have to keep his decrees, and so that's Revelation 12:17 and 14:12. So these types of things that we're supposed to do, and this is Torah, people. This is Genesis 6:4. This is what Moses said. Do this, do this. Okay, and so we are not there yet. We're waiting for more signs of the fourth seal, but we're going to get to those first 3.5 years and then the last 3.5 years, and we're going to see the narcissism come out, and we're going to see no empathy, and we're going to see a lot of disgust at us. But we're going to get through this, people. We're going to pray, and we're going to be warriors, and we're going to be witnesses, and we're going to get through it. The directions that are going to happen through the seals are from Zechariah 1:6, and so some of those things mentioned by Yeshua in Matthew 24, the battles, the wars, the drought, the pestilence, the earthquakes, those are seals, guys. Seal 2, 4, 3, and 6. He listed them off. And we're through seal 3. We're seeing the signs of it right now as the prices raise. Keep in mind, 3.5 billion people earn about $2 a day and they're starving, okay, as food prices go up. You're not noticing it yet, you will. And then these are the big four that would hit. And when you see 1.944444 billion deaths, you know we're in seal 4. And you're going to see some other greenish type things going on in the world. So seal 4 would then happen. Seal 5 would move on very quickly. Then seal 6 would be the big earthquake and the burning figs. And that is the end. So we try not to teach you disparate theology and eschatology. We try to be consistent with what the Antichrist is and give you the philosophy of eschatology. Thank you. Be blessed.